Harry de Montfort Wellborn sat surveying his fun factory from the safe confines of the Sunshine Cafe. Inside his head he carried a seething black hatred of contempt for that dirty little shed-like building, which he nicknamed the circus, he being obviously the ringmaster and his staff being the contemptual clowns. "Well, hello, Mr. Wellborn. Good morning." Ah, Shirley. Shirley was the waitress. She could soothe any stomach ulcer. Shirley was a twin-torpedoed pleasure craft who'd launched and sank many a man of war. She had gazelle grace and floated around this tiny space, fluorescent in spirit and smile, which shafted down into many a dark dungeonous soul. Shirley, my beautiful, beautiful girl, I was just contemplating whether to burn down my business this morning or leave it till payday Friday and shoot the burning members of staff that may try and run to freedom. Oh dear, Mr. Montfort, is it that bad? Well, it's made me into a very depressed dipsomaniac within a very short space of time. But you're a rich man with a big house and a beautiful wife. No, Shirley, I am a small, kept man with an enormous overdraft who's very good at juddling his own debt. If I should falter or drop a couple of the spinning plates, then I shall end up in the workhouse as a vagabond. I am what's known as a financial illusion. Oh dear, and here's me thinking of marrying you for money, sex, and status. Alas, my dearest heart, all three I could not suffice. Financially, as I've explained. Secondly, sexually, well, I'm impotent. There's no way of skirting around the subject. Due to stress and terror, I also administer nightly a chemical castration of booze. Now, status, well, if we lose the other two, that's gone too. Oh dear. Oh dear, my darling, that won't do. No, it will not do, will it, darling? Is there anything that you'd be good at if you lost all three? I'd still be good. I think, possibly, I would excel my dutiful, beautiful ray of the Sunshine Cafe at drinking down and acid tablets due to carrying this large duodenal ulcer. I can also emit the loudest burp in Christendom and do so on a regular basis. My wife, well, let's say my present wife, says I sound a bit like a bull moose barking across the white tundra of our tiled infinity kitchen. Oh, I don't think I'd like that first in the morning. Not just in the morning. Many times per day. Oh, I can't say that's much of an arousal. No, it's quite terrifying in actual fact if you're not ready for it. I mean, my old grandmother, well, her grandmother, she jumped and fell down the patio steps the other day when I emitted one of my finest loud belches, and fortunately I did manage to catch a hold of her. But she's due to eat overeating and claret and cheese and God knows what. She's put on that much weight. I dislocated my arm, tore all the chest muscles too. Sounds painful. Yes, couldn't raise a smile or a glass of old Beano Blanco for weeks. What's your wife like, Mick? What's she like, Mr. Montfort? Chain-smoking dipsomaniac, such as myself, but very bombastic, has a temper equivalent to that of Genghis Khan, or Queen Boudica. She suffers from total Empress Syndrome. What's that? Well, it's when someone's been so spoiled, so sugar-spoiled in every which way. She was an only child, you see, and everybody doted on her. Nannies, servants, butlers, you name it, anything. Total pampered privilege. Oh dear. So what's happened? Well, basically I'm living with a female form of Genghis Khan, who would kill me if ever the rule of law should lapse. She's a female psychopath, exceptionally dangerous. She sounds dangerous. Very. Terrifyingly so. But, Mr. Wellborn, you you belong to one of the wealthiest families in the parish. Well, the most wealthy family. I mean, you've married into the Monkforts. Exactly, I had to change my name. I've had to marry and change my name, change everything, including virtually my sex. But you're in the golden belt of... yes, Shirley. Unfortunately, I've married into what people see as the aristocracy. What people don't realise is that they're completely 3 parts mentally insane. They may look superior, but they're very inferior, in actual fact, in many ways, especially morals, manners, intelligence, scruples in any way. Money, they seem to think money maketh man, not manners. But what about all the glitz and the glamour and the clamour of... Yes, they've certainly taken control of a Pandora's jewellery box. Land, money, goods, shackles, anything every single thing, sports cars, everything. But the aristocracy, unfortunately. But you've married Lady, yes, Lady Barbara, yes. Barbara Monkford, it's meaningless. All it means is that there's 8 centuries of a family that has stayed together since the Norman Conquest, mutating into a bunch of misfits, and that have been marauding over this green and pleasant land, raping, pillaging, and murdering, and even it continues to this present day. Oh, I don't think so. They're one of the oldest and most respected families in this part of England, if not in... Yes. Very, very, very wonderful illusion, bit like mine. But, you see, due to sort of interbreeding and close, shall we say, close connections with one's first cousins, well, even brothers and sisters, their blue blood gene pool has stagnated and festered and brought forth such terrifying specimens of this sapien. Species, more like. Cleft palates, Munchausen jaws, total gargoyles. Most of them that are hidden away in the cellars are worse than things that fall off the side of the church. Hideous strain of madness that runs like the Barnsley black coal seam all the way through. Oh, they're mad. But that's where most of the money came from, the seam as well, in Barnsley seam. I don't see this. I mean, surely there must be 1 or 2 of them that you can look favourably upon? The Wellborns? No. Every single one is mad, and I can only term them as a savage tribe. Oh, you're not painting a very pastoral picture here. I was expecting you to say you were the Haywain, Constable's Haywain, because it looks very much like that. No, I can assure you it's more like the scream of schizophrenia belonging to Edvard Munch. Oh, surely I have married into a madhouse. I live estranged from my wife. I'm living down the 3rd driveway in some broken-down mobile home, which... Well, why haven't you taken if you have to live apart now, why don't you live in one of the estate cottages? Because, Shirley, my darling, the estate cottages are also full of relatives, which are usually locked in the cellars or in their cottages, and not allowed out until there's some sort of dark night shagfest or blood-worshipping... Oh, this is rubbish. No, you can't be as bad as that. I assure you it is. Shirley, my darling, this, when night falls, that Sodom and Gomorrah, it turns into some sort of vampire porn movie. But it can't. What about the Earl? He's beautiful. The Earl of Westcliff is lovely. He's as mad as a March hare. Totally interbred Looney Tune. He sits, most nights, after driving like a maniac back to the hall, he sits and drinks copious amounts of claret, blowing a trumpet that can be heard 12 miles away, all night long virtually. In fact, the only respite the parish ever gets from his madness is when he attacked a priceless fountain in the garden of one of the nymphs and broke off its hands and feet using his trumpet. He had to wait for it to be, with a new one, it smashed it to smithereens. He also drinks booze through it. I mean, he fills it full of booze and uses it like a goblet, like some pewter goblet. He thought, in the morning when they questioned him, he said that he thought it was Medusa after having one of the flashbangs. Flashbacks more like. What's a flashbang? Well, that's the thing. The Wellborns have got this crazy cocaine cocktail that they mix together. Magic mushrooms and cocaine and any other psychedelic herbs that they can lay their hands on. Ooh, sounds like pure party time. Oh, it is. You see, the jailbirds that work in the walled garden, cats see prisoners or something that they can let out, they've been caught growing weed and mushrooms, miles off their tits. Instead of reporting them, the Earl has now joined them. In fact, he's grown some, through his horticultural society, he's managed to grow some super strength skunk and grow some unbelievably whack-out mushrooms. He's on them morning till night. He lives on the mushrooms. So why have they allowed someone like you, I suppose, to marry into the Wellborn family? Simple. Surely, it's a simple. Blood. As I explained earlier, the blue blood pool has stagnated into a dreadful ghastliness, rather like a wolf pack. The Monkfort madness, over 100 years, turns very, very scary. There are none. There are no good specimens. And so, they have to bring in someone like me. To enter into the wolf pack and bring some good blood with me, so that they can carry on. Otherwise, really, they'd be sectioned into the sanatorium. The hall would be pulled down, and no doubt anything in there, land confiscated, and the pure blood sort of pedigree that the parish always looks upon as being wonderful is actually certifiable if you let it continue. Hence, I've got to come in and bring some decent stuff. Do you think perhaps you're being a little harsh on the family? I mean, come on, Mr. Wellborn. I mean, there's got to be... Well, it's they are just feudal overlords. They've been here since the conquest and murdering and maiming and have continued to this day. There's nothing special about them. It can't be as bad as all that. I mean, you're in the lap of luxury. Westcliff Hall is surrounded by beautiful gardens. It's like a paradise. It's an illusion, Shirley. If only you knew the half of it. I mean, my wife, Lady Barbara, she spends all her time in creations of madness that she puts together in her Kit Kat Club. Ever heard of it? No. It's a bunch of bisexuals come trisexuals. Trisexuals? Yes, I mean, it's notorious that some of them, they've not been caught yet, but they've jumped species to get action, shall we say, or arouse. I don't believe you. Well, standing joke, and I mean, it is a standing joke. They definitely need a badger for the bedroom. Otters for the bathroom, and it's dreadful. Anyway, the old Earl had to shoot a couple of his Labradors last year because they were sexually feral, basically. If you went anywhere near them, they started trying to mate with your leg and wouldn't stop sort of with their cunnilingual kiss, as it was called. Oh, dear. I know. The last thing you need is saliva, dog saliva on your genitals, isn't it? Oh, God, it sounds disgusting. Yes, anyway, they have to be taken and shot. They've got little gravestones. In fact, there's little gravestones all around the estate, obviously for the sexually feral pets that they've had to shoot and put down. Oh, God, it is disgusting. So, you've moved out? Yes. Well, you see, the Kit Kat Club, I didn't realise, is like an upmarket bordello. You come back most nights to find so many members of society, well, shall we say aristocracy, stuck to the floor or stuck to the this, that and the rest of it. You've got to sort of, with saliva or whichever body fluids, they're stuck here, there and everywhere. It's like human snails and slugs. You come back and they're dehydrating from booze and stuck to the ornate floors or tiles of something. I mean, I got back the other night to find a London chap telling me that he'd fluffed up 50 fellows and the entry into the hall was actually an act of fellatio. And would I engage? Whew, sounds crazy, is it? My wife, I mean, on the wedding night, she actually said to me, look, I'm a lioness, and I am always in search of a little fresh meat. And then, with about 2 days later, she told me not only was she was a lioness in search of fresh meat, that I was a duck-billed platypus, with a pair of webbed feet, if you please. Well, do you sort of have webbed feet? Of course I don't. It's a euphemism. Surely it's due to my lack of sexual spark. But, I mean, how can you have a sexual spark? The first thing she did was dress up as a dominatrix, stand on one of my bingo wings, and lash me, give me 20 lashes with a cat of nine tails, which is part of the Kit Kat Club, if you please. I mean, how can you get sexually aroused? Oh, I don't know. So does your wife do this sort of all day, or is there something else besides the Kit Kat Club? No. Her entire life revolves around the Kit Kat Club. And don't forget, this coverting carousel of carnal desire is it has to be replenished constantly. I mean, once someone's been involved, they're hardly daft enough to come back. I see what you mean. Very strange. I've never seen anything like this when I've delivered sort of things to the hall. No, you won't. But beware. Never enter. I mean, it's marked heaven over the doorbell on one side and hell on the other. I think you're over-egging things. It should be called Sodom Hall. I'm being serious. It's mad. So besides living at Sodom Hall in this interesting situation, terrifying, you mean? I'm in fear. I mean, me and the servants, all we do is carry what's left of half-eaten corpses to their cars each morning, or even at night. This is why there's so much carnage on that top road there, through the woods, the Greenside woods there. So many people have killed themselves on that straight driving back in total fear they've been instilled upon them. And you've probably read about it. Oh, I have. Is that due to... Oh, yes. That's due to us loading them into the cars, brimming with piss. Oh, dear. Or powder or whatever else. Or prostitutes usually sat in the back of the car. It's a triple P pension plan they're on. To be honest, it sounds rather exciting. Exciting? Well, I can assure you it's not. That's why I'm carrying this large duodenal ulcer. It's terrible. I mean, fear of being sodomized or slaughtered at any moment. And what about the children, the new blood, as you say, that you've brought? Well, they're as feral as her. I mean, they've been to every top school. And now, they've just come back from Switzerland. Finished off. God, the state of them. They're just like two feral cats themselves and gone to terrorise London society non-stop. God, how the other half live, eh? Oh, just think of the Roman Colosseum, and you'll not go far wrong. Saturday night sinners, Sunday morning saints. That's the other thing. After debauching and degrading themselves in drunken stupors, they have the audacity to then throw themselves down upon the cold Carrara marble in church and try and beg forgiveness each Sunday after hell has broken loose on Saturday night. I'm sure most of the Wellborns were just... Well, most of the Wellborns are born with a Welsh silver spoon up their arse and baptised in Bollinger, in the font. It's brimming, so it bubbles. Oh, come on, Harry, it can't be so bad. It is insane. It's mad. So today, what's the Cat Club going to be doing then, Mr. Wellborn? Today? May I call you Harry? Of course you can. Today, I wasn't born a Wellborn, don't forget. I didn't have a Welsh silver spoon up my arse, and they've got a Welsh silver spoon that they use for just cocaine. It's that big. Looks like something out of Tony Montana every time they... Anyway. Well, what happens today on a summer's day? Well, think of a lesbian lounge, okay? All the girls spread out on sun lounges, pan-frying in the heat. Naked, of course, and glistening in oil. It's some awful chain-smoking cigarettes into a burning fuse and flashing down, flash bombs. Oh, and the sexual games? It's a bit like a Romanesque rampage. Think of the Colosseum. Some poor Christian male or female is plied with piss and powder and then covered in cocaine and violated by either four lesbians with strap-on appendages or well, it doesn't matter what sex they are. They term themselves as the nymphheads. Nymphs? Oh yes, it's very Greek. Yes, they languish around like nymphs and at the side of the pool, everything done out, similar to a Greek, a Greek pool of pleasure. And anyway, they sit around sharpening the claws, literally filing the nails and everything, till this poor thing arrives, male or female, goddess or god or whatever. They say, oh, what's your wife's name, goddess? Oh, well, I call her Hell Girl Treble Six, but that's a joke. She's called Calypso. Wonderful. Well, not really. I mean, after luring some poor man or woman to the doom, or into the pleasure dome, these cats usually sort of rape and pillage. And, well, many court cases have been settled out of court, of course, and for these maniacs going too far, sexual perverts. Well, I mean, the last court case, surely the poor man, he's still being treated, a psychiatrist for various ghastliness. I mean, well, what happened? Well, can you believe it? Not only did they lash him almost to flesh itself with cats of nine tails and God knows what, but they actually tied him onto a fet frame and let their cats, their little ghastly cats, lick various substances from his skin. Oh, their little raspy tongues. God, I can feel them now. Oof, so it does sound a bit of a nightmare. And they're all dressed up as some sort of voodoo witch queens when all hell broke loose. I mean, God, voodoo witch queens. Oh, I mean, can you believe it? The last Saturday I walked in, she'd organised some sort of Nazi night. I was greeted by Eve in a bikini basque black creation. Eve. Evil, I call her. Oh, Matt, she stood there in jackboots. Jackboots and suspenders and God knows what, with an iron cross at her throat. With laurel leaves. Laurel leaves? The highest, one of the silver, she was only missing the silver swords for the highest Nazi award. I mean, good God, Eve. Oh, Eve, you'll have seen her strutting up and down. She's always dressed as a goth, 6'2", got a huge Steinway smile. Oh, I have. She's beautiful, beautiful. Those teeth and claws can strip. In fact, they once stripped a Scotsman down to the bare bone within about 5 minutes. Claws on each corner and fangs at the front. You've never seen anything like it in your life. Does the Earl get involved? The Earl? Well, he used to, but not until he actually crashed the old Bentley blower through the Rose and Crown. Remember, coming down the straight of Greenside Woods there, he piled it straight through the Rose and Crown. Wonder he didn't kill the entire bar. Oh, I remember that. Good God, yes, another one he got away with. People with broken bones, well, him. He was absolutely stretching out the place. It's a standing joke. It's the only time that the old Earl Monkford the Wellborn has entered a boozer without buying a drink. Oh, he's in a hospital bed for near on a year. Plastered in all respects. The insurance man came, he's plastered from head to foot, including his head, and asked if he'd got the spare keys for the Bentley on him. He swore at him non-stop. He said, do I look like I've got the effing keys for the car? Oh, anyway, it was the same insurance guy that came last time. The old Earl he'd somehow managed to teach one of his dogs to drive. The thing went straight through one of the greenhouses in a Land Rover. I mean, how do you explain that? Anyway, he didn't get paid out. But he nearly killed a couple of the jailbirds. He had to pay them out as well. I mean, the madness of this man, this Earl, he even rides around on a giraffe dray. And he has, animals, varying animals all over. He's got wild boar and panthers and God knows what, that he walks about on a lead. In fact, the damn evil thing was walking about with one of the panthers while she was dressed as a all in black as a Nazi. Oh, my good God. Oh, it does sound funny, but it sounds somehow very alluring. What, to get run over? Not for their jailbirds. No. Just It sounds just... curiosity, and you will get killed in the Kit Kat Club, my darling. What's the old Earl like? I've told you, he's mad. They're all mad. I mean, he's even nicknamed as Colonel Catastrophe. He's a doomsday machine, whatever he does. Do you know he once asked me, casually, "So, Harry, you don't drink and drive, then?" And then I quickly found out that he actually has never ever driven sober. Ever. This place of yours, I think I've got to see it. Oh, no, you don't. We'll end up in the Kit Kat Club. You idiot. That's where I want to be. Oh, Jesus Christ, surely. Not another Christian child to the slaughter.